Viewed from the rear, the architectural imperfections of the upper part of the house were in even stronger contrast with the ornamental first story. Apparently the impecunious builder, by the time he had reached the rear, had completely run out of funds, for on the third floor he had failed altogether to build in one small room and had left the unfinished brickwork unplastered. The large open space between the house and the fir plantation had once been laid out as an Italian garden at the cost of much time and money, but Sir Horace Fewbanks had lacked the taste or money to keep it up, and had allowed it to become a luxuriant wilderness, though the sloping parterres of the centre flower beds still retained traces of their former beauty. The small lake in the centre, spanned by a rustic hand bridge, was still inhabited by a few specimens of the carp family, sole survivors of the numerous goldfish with which the original designer of the garden had stocked the lake. Sir Horace Fewbanks had rented Riversbrook as a town house for some years before his death. Having acquired the lease cheaply from the previous possessor, a retired Indian civil servant, who had taken a dislike to the place because his wife had gone insane within its walls. Sir Horace had lived much in the house alone, though each London season his daughter spent a few weeks with him in order to preside over a few society functions that her father felt it due to his position to give, and which generally took the form of solemn dinners, to which he invited some of his brother judges, a few eminent barristers, a few political friends, and their wives. But rumour had whispered that the judge and his daughter had not got on too well together, that Miss Fewbanks was a strange girl who did not care for society or the society functions which most girls of her age would have delighted in, but preferred to spend her time on her father's country estate, taking an interest in the villagers, or walking the countryside with half a dozen dogs at her heels. Rumour had not spared the dead judge's name. It was said of him that he was fond of ladies' society, and especially of ladies belonging to a type which he could not ask his daughter to meet, that he used to go out motoring, driving himself after other people were in bed, and that strange scenes had taken place at Riversbrook. Flack had told his wife on several occasions that he had heard sounds of wild laughter and rowdy singing coming from Riversbrook as he passed along the street on his beat in the small hours of the morning. Several times in the early dawn Flack had seen 2 or 3 ladies in evening dress come down the carriage drive and enter a taxi cab which had been summoned by telephone. End of chapter 3 of the Hampstead Mystery by John Watson and Arthur Rees. Read by Lars Rolander.